So you have this big, hairy, audacious goal that you want to accomplish. But your goal is so big that even you're scared. You just don't know how to do it. You don't know where to start from. And you just don't know if you are going to get to the finish line. Well, my friends, this is why they say, why starting small wins big. Hi, welcome to the Growth Gap. I'm Aslam Khatri, your guide to thriving in business and in your life. I'm an author. I wrote a book, A Matter of Destiny, Passion or Wish. It's a book about courage, resilience, my own life story as to how I accomplished things that I needed to do. You can get it at Amazon. My podcast, The Growth Gap, is available on YouTube and on Spotify. Please like, make comments, and subscribe. It will be such a great thing for me. Thank you. So today's subject is something that, being in the business for such a long time, helping so many clients, I find this subject to be so interesting. You see, we all have hopes, dreams. We all have our aspirations. So we do have the goals. We do want to make big goals. And some of our goals are called big, hairy, audacious goals. These goals are the ones that we want to accomplish. Now, so what I want to say is, say you have a goal, and your goal is to get to a $100 million company. Now, you and I both know that that is what we call the BOG, or the big, hairy, audacious goal, which does not mean that you will get to go tomorrow morning and start a business that will be a $100 million company. Obviously, when you are thinking of building a $100 million company, you have a time limit. You have 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years. And that's where you want to get to. Obviously, you want to get to it faster, but you and I and everyone, if you're a business person, you know that you are going to do that in increments. So, if you know that you're going to do in increments, then isn't it something wonderful that you start with something very small? And that, my friends, is really what we are going to talk about today. Now, let's talk about the law of physics for a second. Newton's law is that things, once they are not in motion, they stay out of motion. But once they start getting into the motion, they can truly get into a great continuous motion. So, just thinking about that, just think about the flywheel, this huge old machinery that some of you must have seen in the old factories. This wheel is the most important, but the most difficult thing to move. It takes all the energy, it takes all the weight that you can put on it, and it takes everything that you need, all your effort to get it moving. But the beauty about that flywheel is that once you start moving it, once it starts in motion, it takes on its own life. It takes on its own speed. And so is the business. So how do you do this? How do you take your big, hairy, audacious goal and break it down? That's what you do, is you break it down into smaller chunks, smaller, winnable chunks. You see, each win brings in the dopamine that gives you the second, that gives you the chance that gives you the feeling that you want to do the second step. And it's playing just like playing video games. And that's why video games are so addictive, because what happens is when you start getting to the one level, then you want to get to the second level. And that is exactly what you should be doing in the business. So you take your business plan, which is your big, hairy, audacious goal, which is, for instance, you want to create $100 million company. Now break it down as to what are your dates to that. If you have a 5-year goal plan, then work it with the increments, which says that the first one I'm going to do, first year I'm going to do $2 million, between $2 and $5 million. That's what your goal is. And then you just keep on increasing. And as you increase that goal, you get to your $100 million. Now, that is where you need to start it. You need to start it very slow. You need to start it very small. Giving you example, if you are sales oriented person, and you're going to go knock at the doors, you're going to go knock at, thinking that you are going to be rejected. That's fine. If you go to the 10 doors, if you go to the 10 businesses, and 2 of them accept you, you have done something great. That's the first year. That's the first day. Now that gives you a chance to go out and rehearse exactly what you did for the last 2 people who you got success with, to do it on the next one. So what happens is, this is like a wheel. Just think about it. You're starting your own business, but think about it as a wheel, the wheel that is turning, that you're going in from a door to door, that you're going to try and sell. And yes, you're going to have rejections, but if you did 20% the first day, you know that the next day you're going to do 25 to 30%, and that just keeps on increasing. Let me tell you a story of my own personal life, and this was something that really taught me the story of the flywheel. I was running a public company, and we had decided that we are going to go to make roadshows and go visit the investors who are looking to invest in smaller companies. And we started early in the morning. All of these presentations are basically very, very small, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And in the morning we did 5 presentations, and each one replied one thing. It was a rejection, but a rejection in disguise, which said, "We love your plan, but our funds have been depleted. We have already invested the money that we had kept aside for small companies." And it just kept on going. 5 rejections, one after the other. I was told the 6th one is going to be a gentleman who really likes small companies, and he would truly come through. I made a presentation to him over lunch, and he said, "This was a wonderful presentation, but guess what, Aslam? I have run out of the money, and perhaps next time." Now, what happens after that is, right after lunch, I had another appointment. This gentleman had known me somehow from my previous ventures and had known my reputation. I made the presentation to him, and he said, "You have made me a lot of money in the past," which was a surprise to me. And yes, I will do the investment in your company. Now, all these, you have to understand, all these companies can only put X amount of dollars. So what I wanted to raise would have not been enough with just one person. Exactly the way a salesman cannot just sell one product to one customer and say that that they have accomplished everything. So, but here's what happened after this. What happened is, the people who were with me, who were making those, who were accommodating those presentations for me, they called back all the people that we had made the presentations to, referring that my 7th call was successful. What happened afterwards, you wouldn't believe. The first 6, 4 of those 6 said, oh, if that person invested, we're coming in. Can you now imagine the flywheel effect? We just continued. There were nothing but rejections, one after the other. Same presentation, same answer from everyone. Sorry, we love your company, which is a nice way they say it, but the answer is no. We don't have money for you. Till the 7th one. And when the 7th one accepted, everybody else wanted to, or almost everyone else wanted to come and do. And that is the effect of multiplier. That is the effect of starting small. That's the effect of doing things. And in this particular case, I had to start small because to raise X amount of dollars, you needed everybody to come in with 10% of the amount that you're looking for. And it's the same thing in the business. It's the same thing when you're trying to sell. It's the same thing, whatever that you're trying to do. So, you see, starting small has always been the most safest way. Now, a lot of people say, well, I'm already afraid of rejection. Other rejections would just make it difficult for me. Now, I say to the contrary, because if you were trying on the first year or the first day of your business trying to get $1 million contract, there's a great chance that you are going to be rejected. But if you were looking at smaller contracts, but if you were looking to go see smaller clients, then those rejections are really not failures because you're still in a great shape. So when you do it on a small basis, when you start to break down your whole business plan in chunks, when you start from a very, very small point, which makes it stronger for you, which makes it easier for you, which also gives you that dopamine of the small wins that help you to go to the other one. The other thing is taking the sales example, and I've always felt that always your first presentation is going to be very difficult because this is what you do. It's the first time, you're nervous, you don't know what you're going to say, but by the 5th time, you have it down pat. You've done it so well that you just keep on going to get the successes that you're looking for. So again, coming back to the growth, you have your big, hairy, audacious goal. But if you could concentrate, if you can chunk it down, if you can break it into small pieces, you will see the success comes so fast. The analogy of running a marathon. So those people who want to run marathons, they're not ready. They just don't get up in the morning and say, I'm just going to put my shoes on and run 26.2 miles to accomplish my marathon. They start 1 mile at a time. 1 mile the first week, perhaps 1.5 miles the second week. And before you know, within a month, they're running 5K. And that is accumulation. That is how you not only continue to win and get that dopamine that you need to continue to go, but you learn and you get experience and you continue to do it. So anyone who's thinking about starting a business, writing a book, starting a painting, whatever it is, whatever that you are thinking of, just know that if you could break it down break it down to the chunks, break it down to its bare bones, you can accomplish so much. So I hope something good has come out of this. I hope that you will give it to somebody, send it to somebody, this video who needs to hear this. Till next time, I'm Aslam Khatri requesting, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.